Picture two people, same province, both 64 years old, same career, same salary, same RSP balance, same pension, you get it. Both decide to retire in 2026. One hands in her notice in December, the other hands in his in March, 9 months apart. Same situation, but different financial outcomes. By the time I walk you through what's different between these two events, you'll understand why the month you retire can have an important impact on your retirement, and almost nobody talks about it. Hi, I'm Stefano Francesca, Certified Financial Planner Professional and Senior Wealth Advisor at Next Step Wealth Management with IPC Securities Corporation. Most retirement conversations skip over something that can quietly cost you thousands of dollars: the specific month you decide to leave. How that month affects your taxes, your government benefits, your employer entitlements, and some planning windows that open once and then close for good. Most people spend years working out when they can retire or they can afford to retire. The month tends to be an afterthought. In most cases, that's a mistake, and it doesn't have to be. If you find this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps more Canadians see this. Okay, let's start here, because this is where most of the real difference between Linda and Michael shows up. In the year you retire, every dollar of employment income that lands on your return fills up your lower tax brackets. The more you earn in that final year, the less flexibility you have for everything else. RSP withdrawals, pension income, investment income, it all stacks. Linda works 11 months of full salary before leaving in December. She's essentially used up her entire tax year by the time retirement begins. Michael, on the other hand, works 2.5 months, same annual salary, but only 20% of it shows up on his return for that year. He ends up with room to maneuver that Linda just doesn't really have. What does he do with that room? Well, for many Canadians, the year they retire with a shortened employment income can be one of the most valuable RSP withdrawal periods they'll ever see. Michael can draw from his RSP at a marginal rate he might not have seen since early on in his career. Every dollar Linda tries to do the same with costs her more because her brackets are already full. Linda's going to have to wait longer to leak income than Michael. So if you retire in January, February, or early March, RSP contributions made in the first 60 days of the year can be applied against your prior year, your full last year of employment. So yeah, that's income at your highest tax bracket. Then later in that same calendar year, when your income is low, you're drawing from your RSP at a much lower rate. You're getting that deduction at the high end and paying tax at the low end. And that's the ideal way for RSPs to work. And you're doing it in the same calendar year. It's a very narrow window. For Linda, she can still use the first 60 days of the next year to claim a deduction against her most likely highest income salary, and then convert the tax to a lower rate by withdrawing in the same year. But it's just a timing issue. She's going to have to wait. Before you set a retirement date, it's worth asking what's sitting on your employer's books that you might be walking away from. Start with your bonus. If your employer pays an annual bonus and you leave before the payout date, many companies require you to be on payroll when that bonus is issued. Leave a week too early and it may not follow you. Now, this varies by employer and your employment agreement, but it's a conversation worth having with HR before any retirement date is set. Same story with vacation pay. Most Canadian employers pay out unused vacation in your final paycheck, but only what's actually accrued by the time you leave. If you retire just before a new vacation block would have kicked in, you may leave a payout behind that would have existed a few weeks later. So that's worth checking as well. There's the retirement allowance, and this is the one that surprises people the most. If a significant portion of your career at your employer predates 1996, there's a CRA provision that may apply to you. For every year of service before 1996, you can transfer $2,000 directly to your RSP without touching your contribution room and without triggering withholding tax. If your service includes years before 1989, where your employer didn't contribute to a vested pension plan, there may be an additional $1,500 per year available on top of that. So someone who started with a company in 1984 could be looking at over $30,000 going straight into their RSP, tax deferred, and you don't need contribution room. I've worked with clients who were about to take that entire amount in cash, handing 30 to 40% straight to the CRA, simply because nobody explained this rule before they left. If you have long service with a Canadian employer, look at this carefully before you settle on a retirement date. This one catches people off guard more than almost anything else. For many Canadian employers, your group benefits don't run until the end of the month when you leave. They stop the day you stop working. Extended health, dental, vision, prescriptions, all of it. So in the weeks before you hand in your notice, be deliberate. Book the physical, get the dental work finished, have your eyes checked, pick up your new glasses, refill anything that you need. Private health coverage in retirement costs you dollars from your own cash flow. The window you have right now, the one you've been contributing to for years, closes when you walk out the door. Use those benefit entitlements. As well, use the time to plan continuance of your plan, either directly with the same company or through another program specifically designed for retirees. Now, this next one doesn't apply to everyone, but it's worth understanding before you finalize your date. When the CRA calculates your CPP benefit, they exclude your lowest 17% of contributing months from the calculation, roughly 8 years of your lowest earning periods. For some Canadians, particularly those with career gaps, part-time work, or lower income early on, those final months of strong earnings can matter more than expected. Working a few additional months can, in some cases, modestly improve the CPP calculation. The impact will vary based on your personal earnings history, so it's worth running the numbers rather than just assuming. CPP is a payment you'll collect for life. Small improvements tend to compound over time. Now, let's not forget the difference in taking CPP in December versus January argument. If you start out your CPP in December, you get that month of income, but the initial payout amount will be based on the prior year's indexing. If you wait until January, you'll miss 1 month of CPP, but you'll get the yearly maximum pensionable earnings increase, which is usually more than the CPI increase for the rest of your CPP. Now, that's worth a look. If you're planning to defer OAS past age 65, which increases the monthly benefit by 0.6% for every month, deferred up to age 70, this is something you need to handle before retirement, not after. Service Canada may auto-enroll you in OAS at age 65. You would have received a letter a month after your 64th birthday if that's the case. If you're planning to defer, notify Service Canada before your benefits are set to begin. Once OAS starts flowing, reversing it isn't straightforward. And if you built your income plan around a higher deferred benefit, losing that deferral affects your plan for decades. The month you retire determines how much time you have to get this sorted before 65 arrives. The closer your retirement is to your 65th birthday, the more this matters. And by the way, if you schedule your OAS from January to June, your benefit clawback will be based on the second preceding tax year's income. If it's scheduled for July to December, then the clawback is based on last year's tax return. This has an impact on cash flow for up to an entire year. Ultimately, however, your actual OAS recovery tax is going to be calculated on your annual tax return. If too much was deducted from your monthly benefit, you get a refund. If it was too little, you owe the difference. If you're within 12 months of retirement and haven't thought carefully about the timing of your departure, click the link in the description to schedule a retirement review. These are just a few of the things we consider as part of our wealth management service. People spend years preparing for retirement. They model out their income, stress test their savings, think carefully about when they'll have enough. Then they pick a month because it's the end of a quarter, or because of a colleague is leaving around the same time, or because it just feels like a tidy date. That's not planning, that's luck. The month you retire shapes how much tax flexibility you carry into retirement, and whether you get to use the RRSP withdrawal window at the lowest marginal rates you may see in decades. Your bonus and vacation pay, whether they make it into your final paycheck or not, a retirement allowance that could roll tax-free into your RRSP or get taxed as income because no one flagged the rule in time, benefits you've been contributing to for years, quietly expiring the day you walk out. And unlike most financial mistakes, this one doesn't reveal itself slowly. The moment you hand in your notice, several of these windows close permanently. There's no going back and no choosing a different month. If you're a Canadian retiree or within 5 to 10 years of retirement, click the link in the description to book a strategy session. We work with our clients, helping them make smart financial choices, such as the timing of their retirement, the order your accounts should be drawn from, when to trigger or not trigger tax, what investments make the most sense, and what time of year is the best in your situation to call it quits. And if you want to dive deeper into retirement planning, make sure to download my free retirement guide. The link is also in the description. Let's take the next step.